Hi, welcome to North of 48. It's August the 13th. And I know I've been missing talking about this, but I'd like to talk about Ukraine today. It's 902 days of the Russian invasion, illegal invasion into Ukraine, and the rightfully invasion into Russia by Ukraine, into the Kursk Oblast and some regions of Belgorod. I think we're on day 7 now. Is just phenomenal. Uh, what has happened and what the Ukrainians have done against great odds. They were able to conceal their intent for long enough to launch a successful attack and exploit positions into Russian territory. And once again, it does not seem like the Russian military or Putin are quick on the draw here to push them out. So maneuver warfare practices are ongoing in Russia. Um, the Ukrainians came in with a bunch of flying drones, radio jamming uh, equipment, tanks, marauders, and HIMARS rockets. So let's talk about it. The march of the Ukrainian troops into the Kursk Oblast came as a surprise to everybody, and you've probably seen numerous YouTube videos. And if you're fond of my channel, you know where to go to find good news and present news on Ukraine and tactical information. But what I want to say is that the march of these troops are now into Koronivo and Rilisks, and that puts them right at the doorstep of the Bryansk Oblast, which some analysts believe is even less well defended than the Kursk Oblast. Now, the Bryansk Oblast is easily supplied from a major Ukrainian city of Chernihiv, just as Kursk is supplied from Sumy. One of the things about going into Kursk was it appeared the Russians were gearing up to come into try to take Sumy, which is south of the Kursk Oblast, and they demined the area, and the fortifications were very weak. And Ukrainians just came right through. I'm sure they probably surprised themselves, at least some of the videos that I've seen on the subject, where soldiers were surprised how easy it was to get into there. And then one of the things is the people, all those people that were removed from the Kursk Oblast and into the city of Kursk is something I'm sure a lot of people in Russia are gonna know this by now. There's upwards of 172,000 people removed, which is just amazing. Which brings to mind that Putin isn't taking his combat troops out of the Donbass region, which is hurting Ukraine. They have been making incremental, but they've been making small progress into the Donbass, especially around Kharkiv. And so, if I was a Russian citizen, I'm thinking, what? You'd rather these people move than have some combat soldiers come in. The reason I say this is because there's been a lot of copium, people who are Russian loudmouths or propagandists saying that, oh, this is a trap by Putin. This is no way a trap by Putin. You wouldn't do something where all your population is going to move. And in the Belgorod too, now I think there's about 20,000 people who have been moved out, with the Belgorod district governor asking people to move out. Now, if Ukraine can come in on another and make another salient point, um, they especially into the Bryansk Oblast, I think that makes sense. Not a war professor, not a tactician guy. I'm just amazed. Now, I live in a city that is full of Ukrainians, Polish, and Russian people, as well as other nationalities, but a big component of Ukrainians. and we're very worried about Ukraine. A lot of us, in what's been going on there, the killing, the bombing, the Russians bombing children's hospitals, bombing supermarkets, and it appears the Ukrainians have been very, very well behaved into the Kursk Oblast, and they're only going after military targets. They're not shooting the civilians, and the civilians are moving out. And the ones that have stayed, since the Kursk Oblast has quite a few Ukrainian relations or relatives or people in there, because at one time it used to be Ukrainian land, way back before the First World War. And of course the Russians moved them out as best they could. But with secure ground lines of communication from the Kursk Oblast, and if they take Bryansk Oblast, they have a salient point. I mean, it's they can do a lot of damage to Russia, if not in personnel, in the reputation of how Putin keeps care of his people. This is now Ukraine's war, with keeping secret their invasion into Kursk from everybody, including the West. They've surprised a lot of people. Now, if they could have got the promised weapon systems and munitions in the last year that they were promised, and if the American Congress hadn't been at a stalemate for so long, giving weapons that are supposed to be disposed of or old. They're not by any means new weapons. I think Sweden's the only one who has given Ukraine the new weapons. Then the Donbass region and Kharkiv would be more secure. The Russians have made incremental wins in those areas, and that's just through their force of move forward, bomb, move forward, and bomb. This offensive comes with a new theory of victory. Before it was short-term survival, now they're on the offense. Do they have enough supply? Is the supply chain good enough to replenish the people in the soldiers in Kursk? Or are the soldiers in Kursk, once the going gets a little too rough, if Russia does manage to bring in their artillery and their good battle-hardened troops, will Ukraine retreat? They could, and that's up to them, because so far they've accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. Civilian population has been moved out. The Russians are talking about it, and it's a good thing. So for now, the Russian population gets to experience what Ukrainians have been going through for the past 3 years, since 2022, and prior to that in the Donbass region in 2014, I believe. That being the case, I don't know if they're going to be empathetic about it or just say, oh, why is this happening to us? I have no idea. What is really amazing, the reports coming out of the Kursk Oblast with the people leaving, is that there has been some looting going on, and it appears to be from the Russian citizens themselves. Ukrainians don't need the toilet seats or the washing machines at this point. It would be nice for them to get the ones that were stolen back from Russia, but, it is what it is. I'm just saying, it's just a short video clip saying that we're all very impressed with Ukraine and what they've done here. And, of course, the days and the weeks will show whether this has been a great opportunity. It's a good thing. I think they've won the propaganda war in this. And all those Russian Kopian people, this is not a Putin trap. There's no way he would be advanced enough to even think of something like this. Much less, why would you use your own people in this? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I'll have a longer video with the maps shortly. I just wanted to express my opinion on this subject. And Slava Ukraini.